Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Self Love Show. Unless you're on the East Coast, which I am now, and it is afternoon. um, I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so excited to introduce our guest today, Miss Charlsey Childers.
Great job. Great job.
And for all of you who are watching and listening at home, remember that you can find the Self Love Show on Spotify or YouTube or Instagram, everywhere you are. The Self Love Show probably is as well. And I will add those links in as we go. So let me just give you a little bit about what today's show is about, and we'll get into hearing all about Charlsey. Give me 1 second. All right. Allowing yourself to feel satisfied and fulfilled now. Does anybody else want that? One of the greatest forms of self-love is allowing ourselves to feel satisfied and fulfilled in the present moment, rather than waiting to achieve a certain outcome or result until we feel that way. Oh yeah, totally. Self-love is about embracing and accepting ourselves as we are, including our accomplishments, strengths, and limitations. It involves nurturing a positive and compassionate relationship with ourselves. And when we constantly strive for more without allowing ourselves to acknowledge and appreciate what we have already achieved, it can create a cycle of never feeling truly satisfied or fulfilled, which can lead to feelings of inadequacy, self-doubt, and perpetual need for external validation. Whereas when we allow ourselves to feel satisfied and fulfilled now, we enhance our self-worth and confidence, recognize that we are deserving of love, success, and happiness in the present moment, and give ourselves permission to fully embrace and enjoy our journey as big dreamers and high achievers. In today's show, Charlsey will share 4 ways. That's a lot of ways. We can start cultivating satisfaction and fulfillment now. Charlsey? Yes. Okay. I just want to make sure, I'm like, Charlsey Childers is a self-worth and confidence coach for big dreamers and high achievers looking to align with the fullness of who they are so that they can achieve the level of success and impact they deeply desire. She is also the host of Seeing Your Inner Brilliance podcast, and you can learn more in the links that I drop. So, hi, I'm so happy to have you, and I'm so excited to talk more
Oh
about
my goodness. Trish, thank you so much for having me. We are about to jam out, and I'm so excited.
Yes, I know. Oh, yeah. We're vibing right now. The thing that I love about this show is that we live in a culture that really kind of promotes and even rewards us for being overworkers or being hyper productive. And it's about this thing way out there instead of having an opportunity to actually find contentment.
Mm.
And there is a trick to being content while moving forward. So I'm just curious about kind of your journey to self-love and this place of what is contentment and striving for.
Yeah, such a beautiful question, Trish. And I mean, you really hit the nail on the head in a lot of aspects is that we are conditioned, indoctrinated, programmed a lot of times from an early age to for our value to come from our doing, especially if we are maybe natural visionaries, natural go-getters, natural just driven, ambitious people, right? Like we're already good at that stuff. And then when somebody comes behind us and celebrates us for that, then we can get in this pattern of thinking that, okay, I need to do in order to feel worthy, in order to feel valued. And that was exactly my journey. I am the epitome of somebody who did not love myself for who I am and what I was doing, who I was being in that moment. God bless you. God bless you. It was all about when I get there, when I finish my master's, when I get married, when I have kids, when I buy the house, when I do all of these things, then I will feel this way. Another big one is when I start climbing the ladder that I had always dreamed of climbing, the corporate ladder that is. And there was this moment, this very pivotal moment in my life after I had my son. I was expected to go back to work like most of us are 3 months after, and I had this massive revelation, my burning bush moment as Moses did of I am not as happy, I am not as satisfied, I am not as fulfilled as I thought I was going to be. Like, sure, from the outside, everything looks so good, and I was so, so grateful for it. I did really have a great life on the outside and so much to be grateful for. However, the disconnect that I felt inside to those things was undeniable. I knew that, let's say, building my career, I felt like it was going to be more fun. I felt like becoming a mom was going to be more fun. I just, holding things on a pedestal, I, for some reason, convinced myself that once I do these things, I will magically feel a certain way. And as I started checking off those boxes throughout my life, I built enough evidence and repeated enough patterns to be able to recognize and realize that things were not going as well as I thought they would go. So that pivotal moment right there really sparked this journey within myself to figure out what in the world was going on, and why I was feeling such a disconnect and an inner conflict.
Absolutely. I have a little story about this. Um, so I don't know if you see it, but I have a nose ring that's made of gold that I had bought long, 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 long time ago when I was kind of young in my 20s. Shh, don't tell anyone. And and I had, I weighed about 180 pounds at this moment. And I had always been sort of teased for my weight by some boyfriends and things like that. It was just really tragic. But I was like, okay, I bought this nose ring. I got my nose pierced when I moved to California, and I was like, something new. And I'm like, okay, when I weigh this thing that I'm supposed to weigh, then I will wear this nose ring. And I held on to it for years. I held on to it for years. And at some point, one of my friends looks at me and I was like, I kind of like, I never showed it to anyone, and I showed it to my friend, and I was like, it's going to be when I, like reach this thing so I can feel this certain way and I can adorn myself. And she looked at me and she's like, why not adorn yourself now?
Mm.
And I sat with that for another 6 months. If you want to know. And I was like, well, why not? And I think that actually adorning myself as I was then was one of the pivotal pieces of me actually
Mm.
accepting who I was to move forward in getting healthier. And that's when I started to get sober, and I went celibate, and I started to lose weight, and I just became a more healthy, happy person because I was choosing now to adorn myself, not
Mhm.
some person or place or thing or goal in the future that may or may not come to pass.
Mm.
So I'm really resonant with your journey to self-love. And so many people, including many gurus in the spiritual realm, like Ram Dass or even Alan Watts, they also have that moment. They go to prestigious schools and they get the job and they do the thing, and they're like, I did the things, but why am I not happy still? They promised me happiness and success, but now what?
Mhm.
So, oh, I love this.
So good, so good. You were alluding to so many powerful things, and on an intellectual level, we may get this, right? We may see how we're doing this, but the dangers and how it's destroying who we are on the inside isn't, from my experience, both personally and professionally, it's not always apparent. You know, you putting your nose ring on the shelf, which by the way, I have a nose ring as well, so totally vibing there. But you putting the nose ring on the shelf, for instance, me putting my masters on the pedestal, for example, from the surface and from the outside, those are really great things. Oftentimes, we're encouraged to do that. Buy a dress, buy a certain outfit. So when you lose the weight, you can wear this outfit and you can look beautiful and pretty and all of these things. And so, oh my gosh, yes, let's do it. Let's do it. That's the traditional kind of mindset around that, because in that moment we are experiencing momentary motivation and hits of dopamine, and we're accessing that natural innate internal drive that's within us. However, I feel from my experience, one of the dangers of that is that it's not sustainable. And maybe we don't recognize it in the moment of just how much we are crippling ourselves on the inside, how much we are relying on and depending on external circumstances and giving them more power than our own power within, of loving ourselves and knowing who we are in this moment. It's really when we get to that point of when the dopamine wears off,
Yeah.
when the momentary motivation of wearing that, there's a shift where it goes from a high to a, why aren't you wearing that outfit by now? Why haven't you lost enough weight to get into those clothes? Why haven't you lost enough weight yet to wear that nose ring? Why, why this? And so we start questioning, we start shaming, we start criticizing. And it's at that moment, just like for me, when I had that pivotal turning point of what's going on? I thought I was going to be successful and satisfied and fulfilled because, God bless you, that's what I was promised. But really, I had been denying those feelings within myself for maybe my entire life. But it wasn't until this big, the earth came out from under me, so to speak, that I realized it. And we don't have to get to that point of a low or realizing that something is wrong before we start shifting things. We can start shifting things now. And that's where our power is.
Yes. You might like what my definition of love is.
Ooh, let's hear it.
So all of these people have heard this before, but I'll tell you the backstory this time. I grew up in a pretty kind of tumultuous childhood, a lot of moving, grew up being taught to be a woman, in this society and what that looks like. Also grew up in Montana, which is kind of tomboyish. And there's, the social beauty standard that has a lot of weight on it. And growing up in the way that we were taught that monogamy looks like, love looks like control or self-abandonment, martyrship. We also taught monogamy as, control, and you give everything and I am your North Star. And this is, up towards, if you're heterosexual, up towards the man. And it took me a long time to really, really look at what is love? After multiple failed relationships, after a wildly abusive relationship, I was like, what is this love? Is love really sacrifice of who I am? Is that what is love? This overwhelming feeling of passion and lust and obsession. And after reading, a good grip of attachment theory books, it's not that. It's actually a nervous system regulation. When you feel that way, that's called lust. And it's often what would you call it? A kind of a trauma bond, right? And I was like, man, I have really got to sit back and think about what love looks like. And I took in a lot of information around what does it mean to love a child that comes out as gay? What does it mean to love someone completely and wholly and and godly, right? What does it mean to love someone? To actually see them in front of your face and to not project who you think they are.
Mm.
It occurred to me that love is the radical acceptance of what is.
Mm.
Can I love you as you are with all of your stuff? Like all of it. Like I know that you're a human. You probably do all the icky human stuff. Like all of it. You probably have anger and sadness. Oh God. I bet you do all of the things. But can I stand in front of you right now and tomorrow and the next day and love you in
Mm.
all of your crippling humanity? I mean, there's actions of love, like loving actions, but is that how can I love you? And that is my definition, the radical acceptance of what is.
I love that. I love that. And how I hear that is unconditional. We say a lot of times, especially, as parents to our kids, like, I love you unconditionally. However, we can express this
Yeah.
in an incorrect way. Let's say a child does not behave in the way that we want them to in a restaurant. So we punish them for their behavior. We do not work out 5 days a week like we promised ourselves, and so now we are beating ourselves up. It's these conditional things, whereas when we can get to this unconditional place, or as in you beautifully said, the radical acceptance of what is, what does it look like to love you even when your behavior may not be traditionally perceived of as the way we behave in a restaurant? How do I love myself when I did not live up to my expectations, when I thought something was going to make me happy or satisfied or fulfilled, and it isn't? It's not about shaming or blaming or criticizing or judging ourselves to get back to a certain point. It's about loving ourselves, accepting ourselves radically, like you. I love that. I love that. I love that. So good.
And the truth about it is that if you want to keep a really bad habit, you can resent it or resist it or shame it or judge it or whatever else it could be. Like that is like if you want to keep it, that's the best way to keep it. But if you want to get rid of it and you want to complete it, you have to integrate that. And you have to integrate it as you being you. So that was a big lesson for me on this path of self-love is, there were behaviors that I had learned to meet my needs, right? They were strategies to meet my needs. And I'd be like, why did I do that? Why would I have done that in my whole life? Like, I'm not that kind of person, but why would I have done that? And it was a strategy, purely just a strategy. And I had to really acknowledge where I learned it and that I'm still lovable. That yes, even the most heinous people you can think of deserve love.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that beautifully ties back to, feeling so satisfied and fulfilled now. It's not, needing a particular condition or to behave a certain way for a certain amount of time or to get somewhere in order to feel a certain way, to feel love for ourselves, to feel that acceptance towards ourselves. When we can kind of take a step back and really approach who we are, uh, yeah, then that's where the love is. That's where the satisfaction is. That's where the fulfillment is.
Yes. There are some people who see me right now in my life. Ooh. I'm going to share something that I haven't shared yet.
Ooh, let's hear it.
So not so long ago, I thought that I had cancer, liver cancer. And when you're having a year-long health battle, it kind of feels like you're dying. You kind of start and you think that you might have cancer and you might have, I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to go, there's a potential that I'm going to go through this thing. I'm not like putting it out into the universe, but I'm one of those people that plans for all of the things. Like, I'm like, oh, there's a potential here and here and here. Let's just do all of the things. Let's just plan for it so I can think it out. And then whatever happens, I at least have some plan that probably won't happen anyway. You know, it just feels good to me. And, but I also reconciled my life. Like, I got to accept what has happened, what it looks like now, what I have and haven't accomplished. And it gave me the freedom to be satisfied with everything. Like, I have a friend who's walking me around New York, and they're like, you are just so delighted. And I'm like, by everything. I know. It's fascinating because everything feels new. And, you know, growing up in Montana, like never thinking that I would possibly even get out of Montana. And then being like, I am in New York City. I'm at Grand Central Station. Oh, this is so cool. Or, oh my God, I am meeting a new person that's a whole human being with a whole universe right in front of me. This is so exciting. You're like, there's just the little things in life, like when you can't eat certain things and then you're like, oh my God, this piece of gluten-free bread. Oh, you know, and that really is where the satisfaction lives, is like finding the joy in accepting that this moment is this moment and could be the last. It took all of my life to get here and here.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's not, from my experience and how I coach my clients, this feeling of satisfaction, and like you're talking about, finding satisfaction in the moment. It's not so much a conscious decision of, oh, I'm just choosing to feel satisfied right now. No, because that actually stacks and creates more resistance. And then now we're in a resistance loop and we create a self-fulfilling prophecy for ourselves. And so it's really a matter of, for me, it's a matter of getting to that place within myself where I ultimately feel satisfied and I am truly, truly, truly connected to that deep inner knowing and that worthiness, that unconditional love, the radical acceptance that we were talking about, and getting to that place first. And then I can find, or I can see the satisfaction of each and every moment, but I don't have to have certain conditions. The sun doesn't have to be shining in order for me to feel satisfied or excited right now. You know, this, I don't know, we love technology, right? But sometimes it does not work the way that we want it to. Like, and it's not our best friend. We don't need the technology to work well in order to feel the satisfaction of us being on a live or whatever it is together. We don't need certain conditions to line up the way that we want to in order to feel a certain way. So I felt compelled to kind of add on to what you were saying with that.
No, absolutely. You know, oh God, I love this show so much. I just love this topic because, I mean, it really is like, how much time? Okay, so I primarily work with men, and I work with men who are in C-suite positions. I work a lot with them. And what I find is that there's always some worthiness. And I remind them, you are worthy of love, dignity, and respect just for waking up in this body in this lifetime, just for existing. And they look at me like I'm crazy. Mm-hmm. And I understand how much society and kind of the social conditioning has really created this idea that we can't be loved unless. And we've all, you know, I mean, it's in school, we're taught to compete for love. If you've had a big family, there's just like lots of ways that we've learned to compete for it, or to put it outside of self, you know? You've got to be thin. You've got to be a certain skin tone. You've got to be this. You've got to be that. You have to have this much money in your bank account. You have to, and when I look around, you know, I have this really cool advantage because I grew up in some really poor communities in Montana, and I have made it. I've jumped a socioeconomic status, like I've jumped level. And when I get to sit back and I think about it, I'm like, the way that we talk to ourselves and the way that we talk to each other is such a powerful place where we can actually change the world just by recognizing that you're worthy of love, dignity, and respect just for existing. And first, I get to give it to myself. And the cool thing, and you've hinted at it, the cool thing is that when you do it in here, when you accept yourself for the gnarly, awful, icky person that you are inside, like everybody else, there's 8.5 billion people on this planet, right? Just like everybody else, that even the icky, trashiest part of you can be loved, that the world shifts in your brain and your perspective shifts. The way that you see the people in the world or items or things or whatever, it literally shifts. It becomes so loving. Right? I mean, it becomes more loving.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When we can get to the place where we truly know and believe that nothing inside of us and nothing outside of us has to change in order for us to feel validated, confident, fulfilled, valuable, important, significant, successful. If knowing that nothing has to change, do we love ourselves? When we wake up in the morning, and a lot of times, I don't know about you, but my first thought in the morning is not necessarily a positive one. Like, first I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 4:44 again, and my alarm's going off and I'm waking up, or it's, oh, that type of thing with no makeup on, nothing. Like, we're just in our raw selves in the morning. Can we love ourselves in that moment unconditionally? That's kind of what I'm referring to or alluding to here, is that raw, who you are as a person, your strengths, your failures, your mistakes, the things that you naturally like about yourself, the things that you naturally, find beautiful about yourself, just your accomplishments, like just everything, the rawness of who you are. And the visual of when we first wake up in the morning, it's like exactly who we are in that moment. Can we love that person down to our core, down to our essence, the nitty gritty of us?
Yeah. And that's really, okay, I'm going to rant. Do you mind?
Rant, go Trish, go.
At least I asked for permission this time. Okay. So I was just talking to a sweet person that I met at a coffee shop recently about this exactly. Okay. I'm a sociologist at heart. I'm sure you picked up on that. Like, I love social structure and how it impacts the individual. And I love to dissect how the individual impacts social structure because it's so fascinating. And so we've come through many, many years, millennia, practically, of certain people being in power and telling us how to fit into society. So they have laws, and then there's rules, right? And then there's social norms. And social norms are things that we create in our like local communities, but also are like used, like shame is used in this, and guilt is used here. Like things like this is to shame us or guilt us into. It's like slightly under the law, but it's how to conform to society. It's basically like social norms or how to conform to society so that you get the benefits of this society, right? Well, what that often does, the conformity pieces, is, I mean, so again, well, privilege is one of the things, is how well you get to conform to that society's rules. based on some arbitrary whatever things that they've chosen for you to fit into. Now, the 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 sad part of it is that there's so much more humanity. Like the human expression is pretty vast, but we've moralized a lot of bits of it, right? So if you take kind of the moral bad wrong piece out of it, like I'm a bad person because I watched porn once or whatever it could be. If you take the morality out of it and you really stop and look at what it was a strategy for, what did you, why? Like, why did you do that action? And to really look at your strategies for meeting your needs, then you get an opportunity to actually transform your life the way that you want it to be. And you don't, so these social norms also kind of depress creativity, depress who like there's probably certain expressions of who you are. Like, I will never be a size 2. Like, it is just not in the cards. I don't want to be a size 2. I like the thing that's happening in this body right now. Like, it's good. It's good. So, but the world tells me that I'm not wanted, sexy, or lovable because I'm not this size, or I'm not this flexible, or I don't have this much money in my bank, or, I mean, whatever your insecurity is, you add it in why you can't be loved. And just think about who taught you that. Really. Because I'm going to guess that it's not your thought. It's not something inherently natural to you. Because if you were created in God's image, then God is perfect. And I'm certain that that being loves you for all of your mistakes. And who you love and why you love and whatever is your fulfillment in the world. What is your kind, loving action?
So good. So good. So good. Oh my goodness. And one thing I would love to add on to it, because it was such a huge, you mentioned God. So for me, I could not fully receive the love from a source higher and greater than me because I did not fully love myself. So how could this all-knowing, vast, magnificent source and power love me unconditionally when I didn't love myself? And once I realized that, okay, I am an extension. We are an extension of source, of God. Then it is not physically possible to separate the creation from the creator. If God is perfect, if God is loving, then we inherit all of that. We inherit his kingdom. We inherit the abundance, the prosperity, the fulfillment, the satisfaction, the joy, everything that he created for us to feel in this world. And by us saying that I do not love myself because of this, I do not love myself because I'm not doing this or being that, then we're not only denying ourselves, but we're actually denying the very source that created us, because we are saying that his creation is faulty, that it's messed up, that something is wrong with us, that it's not good enough, that it's missing a key component of it. And once I really sat with that and understood that and allowed myself for it to integrate throughout my whole entire body, my thoughts and my beliefs and my feelings, then that really, like, accept it, accept you, accept the fact that you are unconditionally loved, that you are loved for who you are, and know that satisfaction and fulfillment and everything that we want, that we put up here on a pedestal, that is a marker that we have to get to, that if we can accept that was a big thing of feeling satisfied and fulfilled right now, and not needing anything else to change or be or happen in order for me to get there.
Love it. Exactly. I love, yes, you cannot separate the creator from the creation, because that's the thing. And that is, oh man, I'll totally dive into this, but I'm going to try not to. is like, how do you keep people separate and control them? You tell them and you teach them that they're separate from God and that you'll be
Mhm,
punished for humanity.
mhm. Look what
And
we do with religion.
I know it's a
Just saying, just saying, just saying.
for control mechanism. It's fantastic. Again, sociology. Let's have a conversation later.
Yes, yes, yes. I have a sociology minor, by the way, and
Oh,
I am
oh,
fully backed by psychology. So you and I could totally geek out.
um, there's just like this way of recognizing that there's a lot of like cliche sayings like follow your bliss and um, you are the divine, and I didn't quite understand them until I really started to look at my self-love journey. I really didn't actually quite get that it was about seeing all of my, I'm going to use this word in quotes, faults or any things that were unlovable were actually just what made me unique, and what made me special is these really sweet moments of like my humanness. It's purely human to have these. Oh, well, would you like to share those 4 ways?
Yes, absolutely. Let me riff. Let me let me geek out. All
Get it.
right. So I coach a lot of big dreamers and high achievers, the natural ambitious ones in this world, the natural ones who have desires and feel called to do a certain thing. And so when it comes to feeling satisfied and fulfilled now, I've identified 4 ways for us to actually do this and to check in with ourselves. And these are things I shared with you earlier about my journey of I had this very pivotal point when I was expected to go back to corporate, and I had this realization that I wasn't as happy, fulfilled, and successful as I thought, or I didn't feel that way as I thought I was going to be. And so over the course of the next about 3 years, I was on an inner journey of unpacking that and getting to this place that Trish and I have been talking about of radical self acceptance and unconditional self love. And so I've identified 4 ways. Now, there are more, yes. However, when it comes to speaking, I love to be practical. And what does this look like in my life? So, the first thing that I really encourage you to check in with yourself on is how do you feel overall with life? Because if we can know and adopt the premise that how we feel now is how we are going to feel then we can really do an analysis and an inventory on if this is it, if this is how I'm going to feel when I achieve my goal, when I finish my degree, when I become, when I lose weight, when I do all of these things, is that where we want to be? Because if it's not, then it's a great opportunity for us to go in and unpack, to discover and be honest with ourselves. Why am I not satisfied? Why am I not fulfilled? Why am I not loving my life? And why am I not loving myself in my life right now? And that kind of brings me to the second point is when it comes to the process, the journey of getting somewhere, of being the person we want to be, of achieving the thing that we want, of bringing our dreams into fruition. When it comes to this journey and this process, how do we feel about the process? Because for example, when I was working on my master's, looking back, I can say that the process, I couldn't wait for it to be over. I would show up early and leave as soon as I could. I would, finish my tests as soon as I could. I would write my essays. I would do all of the things that I needed to do because it was like, okay, 2 more years, a year and a half, a year left, and it was like always on countdown. And so when it comes to the process, like as an entrepreneur and a coach, in getting to my own dream and desires, when I was early on, it was at this place of being resentful. And why can't I already be there? Why can't I already arrive? Why can't I already like feel rich and prosperous and like a millionaire? You know what I mean? Like, why can't I already experience those things? And so this by just evaluating how you feel about the process. Do you feel like your dream is a burden? Do you feel like where you are is wrong? Do you feel like the things that you're doing are wrong and you need to do other things? It's just a great opportunity for us to check in with ourselves, and through that self-awareness, be able to figure out, well, how can I love the process? How can I enjoy where I am in this moment? What's going on here? But it starts with us being honest with ourselves and looking within. So the first way, let's recap. The first way is, how do you feel overall about life? If knowing that how you feel now is going to be how you feel about yourself and your life, then is that really how you want to feel, or is there opportunity to kind of up your game, so to speak, in that area? The second one is about the process and the journey. How do you feel about where you are now? Do you feel like it's wrong? Do you feel like you're behind? Do you feel like you're not good enough? Do you feel like this needs to happen in order to feel a certain way? And then the third way that you can feel satisfied and fulfilled now is by checking in with yourself and asking, how connected do I feel to literally every single thing that I'm doing? Whether it's being with your kids and playing with your kids, do you feel connected in that moment when you're throwing a football or playing Barbies? When it comes to like my clients, when it comes to them working on the minutia of going after their goals, how connected do they feel to building that website, to writing the social media post? Because so often we can get to this into this space of, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't want to be doing it, I'm not good at it, let's just skip to the next thing, skip to the next thing. And so what that does is it prolongs and delays that satisfaction and fulfillment. But when we can truly feel connected to every single thing that we do, every single thing that we eat, the words that we say, who we're spending time with, just how we're showing up in our lives, woo, the satisfaction and fulfillment from that is so, so big. And then the next check-in point and the next way that you could feel satisfied and fulfilled now is looking at the moves that you're making, the decisions that you're making, the actions that you're taking. Why are you doing those things? Is it because you feel called to do them? Is it because they are truly aligned for your life and because you're truly being the person you want to be? Or are you making those moves and taking those steps because you feel like it's going to get you somewhere? Because if you feel like you're going to feel better about yourself on the other side. And so when we can really allow ourselves to reflect and just expand our awareness around these four areas, then there is so much satisfaction and fulfillment that is available to us here and now. But the first step with everything is about self-awareness and becoming aware and being honest with yourself and being able to love yourself enough through this internal objectivity and neutrality so that you can see your life through this objective and neutral lens in order to make the changes. But so often we just make changes, do, hustle, 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 thinking that this nice little shiny box is going to be available to us at the end, and that satisfaction and fulfillment is just going to, pop out like Jack in the Box. But just like with me, oftentimes when we get there, it does not work out that way, unfortunately. Unfortunately. And so those are four ways that I really encourage you to yeah, just take a self inventory. Ask yourself those questions. How do you feel about life from a general standpoint right now? How do you feel about the process or the journey? Whether your journey is a weight loss journey, whether it's a career journey, whether it's building your dreams journey, whatever your journey is, how do you feel about that journey? Do you feel wrong for where you are? Do you resent it? Do you feel ashamed? You know, what are those little things hiding under the surface? And then the third thing is, how connected do you feel to everything that you do? How connected do you feel to life? How connected do you feel to yourself? And is it rooted in this place of self-love? Because that's what it is, you know. For me, admittedly, there have been times when I've been playing with my kids and I haven't been present. I've been thinking about my to-do list, or what is coming up, or what I'm going to do next, and I haven't really allowed myself to be present and fully connected in the moment. And so not only am I offering my I'm not only not offering my kids unconditional love for who they are and bringing the fullness of who I am into that moment, but I'm also not showing unconditional self-love to myself, because you know, my head is all over the place. And then the fourth one is the actions that you're taking, the moves that you're making. Why are you doing them? Is it for the sake of getting somewhere? Is it for the sake of how you're going to feel when you arrive? Or is it from this aligned, rooted and loved, backed by the fullness and your energy and your authenticity of who you are? So, yeah, those are the 4 ways. Trish, are you there?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
I was just waiting. You know, just listening. I don't want to bring you on too early because you might have more to say.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true.
Oh, you know, and I love the 4 ways, and I love simplicity in this sense. I mean, simplicity, but there's a lot of work there.
Right, right, right.
That's
But
what,
I feel like from a digestive standpoint, those 4 ways are really okay. I can do that. You know what I mean? It's not full of like, do this, do that, do this, do that, do that. No, we can do this at any given moment, all throughout our day. We don't necessarily have to like sit down and journal for 3 hours and unpack all of this. You know, no, it doesn't have to be painful. It can just be, oh, I'm going to the refrigerator and I'm about to drink something. Why am I drinking it? Or I'm about to turn on the TV and watch something. How connected do I feel to what I'm watching? You know what I mean? So really coming to this place and just asking ourselves those questions and checking in all throughout the day. Such a delicious way to bring that satisfaction and fulfillment now, now, now.
yes. You know, I have ADHD, so I love these like meditation bells that are
Mm.
just hit random throughout the day. And that is one of the ways of like, oh, stop, check in with my body, take a deep breath. How connected do I feel? Do I need to drink some water? Oh, yeah. What am I doing right now? And just an awareness practice of what am I actually doing? It's one of the little hacks that I've used. So good for just
Yes.
that. It's like to remind myself every day in the middle of the day randomly to just hack my psyche. Oh my god.
Yes. So good. Yes, I do that too when like I don't know. I'm on social media a lot, just like I'm sure you are, you know, with my podcast, posting on Instagram, of course, with threads, you know. And so when I go to make a post, it's like, why am I making this? Is it because I truly feel like I have something to say and something to offer? Or is it because I feel like I need to post because that's what a business guru on Instagram says that I need to post every single day? Like just becoming aware of these things. Hey, if I feel like I want to say something, then say it. Like that is so satisfying. But if I'm coming from this place of I need to, I have to, I should, in order to, that's just icky. That is definitely not where satisfaction is. So yeah, I love these little check-ins. So good, Trish.
better loving through, better living through um, choice. You know, like how much of the
Mm,
time do we do things out of obligation? Do we stay with someone, or do we go shopping, or do we eat, or do we do these things out of obligation? And I love that, you know, I've quit a couple jobs because I'm like, these people treat people like shit.
you were almost there without cussing. You were almost there.
I'm gonna do it again. These people treat the other people like baloney. And my team's gonna hack it out anyway. Yes. Why do these people? And I was like, no, no, no. I can't actually, I can't actually participate in that right there because it doesn't feel right to me. Like getting up and then I feel obligated to go to work, and then I feel like I'm participating in other people being treated poorly, and it's just gets so you know? And
Mm,
and this is where we get to really live our values, right? So
mm,
through self-love, through accepting ourselves, and through checking in every day, like, why am I doing this? For what purpose? And get into that is to really start looking at why we do what we do and what our values are, and to really start aligning with people who are living our values. Like, I mean, you meet so many people in the world. I bet you meet so many people in the world. And some people are like, you're like instant, right? Connection. And then there's some people who are like, you are not living the values that I want to connect with, like in this world. And
mm,
and I love that you're working with some really powerful people, also helping them
mm,
really align with their values and their truth, because we get told that we're not allowed to do that. So I
mm.
love the juicy bits there
Oh,
around fulfillment through living in our value system. Oh, you're great.
uh, thank you, thank you. I feel the same exact way about you, and something I that is just like screaming inside of me right now that I have to say is, I am very blessed to work with a lot of authors, a lot of up and coming fashion designers, personal stylists, the entrepreneurial, the creator, type of people, truly being able to follow their calling and their desires as they please. And at the same time, I do work with a lot of people who are still in their corporate career or still in the traditional, the 9 to 5 or whatever they have to do right now, even though it does not align with their values. And so I just want to say for those people watching that it yes, you quitting your job, there could be satisfaction and fulfillment available for you. However, that is the easy way out. That is the easy way out. And it's also an easy way to do what I did, which is to quit your job thinking that your job is the problem and that when you get to the next season, you're going to feel satisfied, happy, full of joy. And then you get to the next season and you are repeating the same pattern and feeling the same way. And so, for somebody who is in a job that may not align with their values, that may not bring them joy, if you can get to the place where you can feel satisfied and fulfilled now. Remember, nothing within you needs to change, nothing outside of you needs to change. So, how can you get there now? That is, if you could get to that place, woo! I've seen it before. I've seen it so before. I've actually seen it, even I've witnessed it. I am witnessing it in my husband. When you can get to the place of that, that's when you become unshakable, unstoppable. Nothing can sway you. It doesn't matter if you happen to go into another job you don't like, or you're around people that you do not necessarily naturally jive with. You are solid within. You love yourself within. You love your life within. So Trisha was just screaming at me to add that on there.
Yes. No, I love it. That's the whole reason for this show, is that you could just get to share what is inspired from your heart, from your soul. And I would love to hear a little bit about how you do that. Tell us about your podcast. Tell us about your work. What can they find on your Instagram? Like, let us know.
Oh my goodness, such a beautiful question. Yeah, so first thing that you mentioned is the podcast. My podcast is called Seeing Your Inner Brilliance, and the premise behind it is to normalize our big dreams and normalize the crazy things that we want to do in this world, because we do not, our society, our family, our friends, they don't naturally support us. And so it's really important for us to integrate that and normalize that within ourselves and feel connected to the more that we feel called to, first and foremost. And then the second premise behind Seeing Your Inner Brilliance is normalizing the inner struggles and challenges and portals that come up inevitably when we are on the path of doing what we're called to do, when we're going after our dreams. There are lies, patterns, old belief systems, upper limits that we need to rise above and to grow out of. And it's beautiful. However, there can also be an undertone of shame around that. And so that's another key component of seeing your inner brilliance. Your second point of my Instagram, what you could see on my Instagram, well, I'll just tell you this way. At any given moment, you will see me riff just like I am right now, totally in my element. The psychology is just flowing outside of me. And you can also see myself doing kitchen dance parties and having fun and being crazy and fully embracing that side of me as well. So that's my Instagram. And then as far as how you can connect with me further on a program level, I will just say that you are fully supported. If you are fully supported when you come into my world. So no matter where you are on your self-worth and confidence journey in regards to getting to where you want to go and being who you want to be, you are fully supported. I think you're muted. There you go.
I was muted. um, you sound like a best friend, someone who's just like they're supporting and like hand on the back, and I've got you.
Got
So
you.
precious and so sweet. Well, I'm going to check out everything. And I'm really excited to have had you on the show today, because I think that your message is incredibly powerful to really help people be who they are and be fulfilled in that. And it's an incredibly powerful gift that you offer.
Cue those waterworks, baby. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for recognizing that within me. Thank you for allowing me to come into your space and the space that you and Don have so beautifully and amazingly created for us to love ourselves. And I'm sure you can't, you could tell that I am completely biased in how important that is for not only who we are, but the people around us and the world. So you guys, hats off to you. Like, just truly amazing work that you're doing.
Well, I don't know if you knew, but so this show came out of the pandemic. There was a moment where I just recognized that everyone had lost their livelihoods, and probably their therapists and their coaches and people. And I had a friend who was murdered by her partner at the beginning of COVID. So I was like, people need help here. And it was, well, what else am I doing? And luckily we had a project that we were working on for 2 years where we were in lockdown, like a project of the heart. And now neither of us will ever, like, this is where we get to ground in every week and have an amazing guest on who is also committed to self-love in the world. And this is how we like create the mycelial network of self-love and loving other people. Like, this is it. And thank you for your appreciation and of that. Thank you so much. I would like to thank you to Love Coach Academy, Scott Katamas, Sign Network, Global Peace Tribe, and let's twinkle Dawn Light because she's not on today. And I'd also like to just shout out to Roy and Russell for being just like the most stunning, amazing support and assistance that a team could all ever have. Like you all are amazing. And Charlsey, thank you for thank you for your commitment to self-love and for your honesty and your vibrancy and your just delightness. Like, and yeah, bringing it all. And thank you for saying yes to a random invitation to be on the show with a couple wild beings.
You're so welcome. I love random and I love wild. So that's anywhere that is where I am probably.
You live because I'm gonna have a call. Let's see you soon. It's funny you say that because I've often joked that I'm just a wild animal. So people will ask me like, "Why don't you drink?" And I'm like, "Well, because I'm completely sober now." And I'm like, "I'm just a wild animal, and I don't need all of that other things to be a wild animal. I'm living my life in the most vibrant yes and no when I need to say no ways that I can." So thank
Trish,
you.
can I say something before we go really quick? This is the first place I have publicly shared this, but I am 1 year and 2 days alcohol free. No drinking. No drinking. 1 year and 2 days. So yes, I can fully yes, high five to you as well. The absolute best decision I ever made in my life. Even, there doesn't have to be a problem for us to change things and shift things. And even as someone who, I don't know, maybe I would have a glass of wine a week or something like that, but just that shift has really allowed me to not only love who I am as I am with my energy, how I'm feeling in that day, but then bring the fullness of who I am into that world, into this world. And yeah, it's fun just being wild, your wild self, alcohol, drug free, like everything free. It's good. It's good. So, yeah, kudos to you, Trish.
Congratulations as well.
Thank you.
The thing that I also just stopped because I like the clear-headedness and the like. I like to go out to bars still. I like to go and have mocktails. I like to do all of those things, and I don't have a hangover. I can stay up late too. A cup of green tea, and I'll just be up with everybody else. You know, it's just a really. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
How does your mind and your body feel?
Amazing. Amazing. So clean, so clear, so just consistent.
Yes.
Consistent. If I wake up and my body's off, I know exactly why. Likely because I need to drink more water. And yeah, so clean and so clear. And I love, all right. So you mentioned mocktails. One of the things I love doing is drinking water in a wine glass at 9 o'clock in the morning, because you cannot drink an actual drink by yourself at 9 o'clock in the morning unless you're going to be stereotyped as an alcoholic, right? But you can't drink water in a wine glass at 9 o'clock. John, I would not want to drink wine at 9 o'clock in the morning anyways. But yeah, that's just, it's, you love mocktails. I love water in a wine glass.
I love it. I love this so much. Well, it sounds like we have a lot to chat about, and thank you again for being here and for doing your work in the world.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And for all of you here, you can find us same time, same place next week. I'll see you there.